dumb mistakes that I've made over the years, like scheduling a concert on a presidential election night, or scheduling a concert on a major religious holiday, we've of course, I mean, with the big band, there have been all kinds of things that, people forget their horn, they forget their music, they forget part of their clothes, and I've done all of those things too. I've shown up to the gig without, or to a bunch of rehearsals without all of the music, or, I showed up to an out-of-town gig without my shoes one time, and I didn't realize it until about 10 minutes before the concert. So I ended up, just going out in my socks.
You didn't have any shoes?
No. Well, I just had tennis shoes. I had white tennis shoes, and we were wearing all black. Stuff like that. I guess I won't say who did this, but I mean, there have been a lot of times where stuff just goes wrong, like that you can't control, like right at the last minute. And the one that comes to mind first is we actually had somebody get arrested like 10 minutes before a gig started. Yeah, and so that's an unfortunate,
What instrument? I'm just playing.
Yeah, and then another, like early on, the first time we brought Monty Alexander in, I just assumed that the piano at Fairbanks was going to be okay, and so he asked me the night before we'd done a rehearsal over at UT, and he said, "Well, let me just go over and check out that piano." I said, "Okay." Well, so we drove over there, and there's a restaurant, and the restaurant owners, it was their piano, and he hit an octave, and it sounded almost like it was a minor ninth. I mean, it was like really badly out of tune, and not it wasn't like you could just call a piano tuner and it'd be fixed. There was no fixing it. And I mean, he's one of the all-time great pianists. So it's not like, I mean, there were people showing up and playing that piano on a weekly basis, but this is a concert that people are paying real money for, and a real concert pianist. So he was not happy about that, to say the least. And so the first thing the next morning, I called the place that rents pianos and asked, can I rent a piano? And they said, well, we have one available, but our piano mover is on vacation this week. And I said, okay, well, what about you have a backup person that we use? And he said, yeah, we have a backup, but he's got a broken leg. And so I hung up with them, tried a bunch of other places. Nobody had a piano to rent. I called them back and just basically begged and pleaded. I said, how much do you want? I'll give you all the money I have. I need a piano at the venue tonight. And so they finally agreed. They said, okay, well, there's this other guy. We don't like to use him, but if you can get a hold of him, then we'll allow you to rent it, and we'll allow him to bring it to you. And this guy was a piano tuner, and this was before everybody had cell phones. So I called, I got his wife. She said, well, he's out working, he'll be home around 4. Well, the concert was at like 7:30.
Oh, wow.
And so around 4 o'clock, he called me back. He got down to the store at 5 o'clock, just before they closed, loaded up the piano, and he showed up with, it was a Steinway D, and it was in the back of a pickup truck.
Oh my God!
Wow!
I was hanging the piano was literally hanging out of the bed of the pickup truck.
Wow!
Yeah.
Yeah.